One day I was sitting at home thinking, Salah, why don't we outsource our government to Chinese Communist Party? I went to ChatGPT and I asked them that. What if India and China were to become one country? You have a neighbor, you have to understand he's stronger than you, but he would be happy. Theoretically, can you imagine if India and China were going out to the world separately, of course, but together? The world would have to bow down. The rupee weakness is really affecting the poor people the most. I swear to you this is true. The first thing this very beautiful girl said to me was, interest rates in India have been kept artificially low for too long. I said, yeah. Turns out they were students from Africa somewhere. They had just come out of an exam. If interest rates are artificially low, what does it mean? Inflation is artificially high. Who does inflation affect? Everybody. But who does it affect more? The poor. The poor. I think there needs to be, and I don't know whether it will come, there needs to be a real fundamental rethink of how we run the country.
सिंपल है कि इस बहुत ही खास एपिसोड में आप सबका स्वागत। आज मैं आपको अपने गुरु से मिलवाता हूं। जब मैं एक यंग जर्नलिस्ट था, देखिए कितने खुश मिजाज है मेरे गुरु कि अभी से ही हंसने लग गए। फॉरेन एक्सचेंज, करेंसी मार्केट, ये सब चीजें बिल्कुल सर के ऊपर से जाती थी। और तब मैं इनके पास एक बार गया और इनसे हाथ जोड़कर मैंने कहा कि कुछ सिखा दीजिए मुझे। तब से हमारा रिश्ता बना रहा। जमाल मैकलाई, जैसे कहते हैं, नाम ही काफी है। आज जब फॉरेन हमारी जो करेंसी है डॉलर के बनिस्बत गिरती जा रही, सब चिंतित हैं लेकिन समझ नहीं पा रहे कि ये हो क्या रहा। और इनसे बेहतर ना तो करेंसी मार्केट कोई समझता है इस देश में या शायद विदेश में भी, और उसे सिंपल तरीके से समझाने का जो हुनर है इनमें, वो किसी में नहीं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जमाल भाई।
प्लेजर।
मैंने आपकी बहुत इज्जत की है। आपने, जब मैं बहुत यंग था तब आप भी यंग थे, आप अभी भी यंग लगते हैं। मैं थोड़ा बुजुर्ग लगने लग गया हूँ।
Sir, getting old now is actually excellent. Because it keeps getting better. Life keeps getting better. मेरे ख्याल से।
और हम यहाँ पे बैठ के रिटायरमेंट प्लानिंग अभी से ही बात कर रहे हैं। रिटायर क्यों होना? ये फायर वायर में आप बिलीव करते हैं? ये
जी,
फायर का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस टू रिटायर अर्ली।
सर, आई एम वेरी लकी मैन, आई डोंट हैव टू थिंक अबाउट दीस थिंग्स, तो आई विल नेवर रिटायर।
ये बताइए जमाल भाई, कभी आपने 40 साल से ज्यादा आपका एक्सपीरियंस है भारत के करेंसी मार्केट में, इतने आपने उतार चढ़ाव देखे, क्रैशेस देखे, वॉर्स देखी, कभी सोचा था कि हम 100 के करीब आ जाएंगे?
कभी कभी वो आइडिया आया, एंड फ्रैंकली मेरे ख्याल से राइट नाउ, सी आई बिलीव सी मार्केट्स आर मार्केट्स, नोबडी नोज एट द बेस्ट ऑफ टाइम्स। जैसा मैंने आपको एक कहानी को बोला था, 87 में जब वॉल स्ट्रीट क्रैश्ड, राइट, सब लोग पूछे क्या होने वाला है, क्या होने वाला है। मुझे पता नहीं, आई डिड नॉट नो, आई रियली, in those days, I thought I could understand the market, but even I did not know. Pata nahi what to do. So I went downstairs. I was smoking in those days. Cigarette पीता था, और एक मैं smoking सोच रहा क्या बोलूं, क्या होने वाला है। चना वाला था, रस्ते वाला, वो सामने ऐसा सब 50 रुपया देना। ऐसे भागो यार, मैं सोचना है तो क्या होने वाला। फिर मैं सोचा, मैं उनको बुलाया, मैं बोला, बोलो डॉलर ऊपर जाने वाला है नीचे जाने वाला है? मुझे क्या पता। ऐसे 50 रुपया चाहिए सर। हाँ, मैं दिया उनको, वो मुझे कुछ बोला, मैं सब जाकर बोला। क्योंकि जब when the market is crazy, right, चना वाला is as good as an expert, nobody knows. See, and ये है the main lesson of markets. Actually, not only when the market is crazy, all the time. Nobody knows, because देखो, what is the market? Market है करोड़ों लोग buying and selling and buying and selling and buying and selling. Nobody knows actually what is going to happen. और हवा भी यहाँ से आता है, वहाँ से आता है, you don't know. I mean, अभी देखो, look at what is happening now. You ask, will it, सोचे थे कि 100 पहुंचेगा. Of course, once it crossed 80, ये
नहीं तब नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूं जब 40 साल पहले।
नहीं यार, सी जब मैं शुरू किया आई वाज ऑलवेज
क्योंकि
वांटिंग,
कहते हैं कि हर साल कुछ डिप्रिसिएशन तो होती है
सी
करेंसी
जो
की।
बात है दैट इज अ वेरी बैड थिंग कि पीपल बिलीव कि हर साल 3%, 2%, 5% गिरने वाला है. नाउ सी दैट इज नॉट अ मार्केट. सी मार्केट क्या है? मार्केट इज वेयर पीपल डोंट नो. That is the meaning. See, मेरे ख्याल से, my father used to say something very interesting. He used to say the central bank, like Reserve Bank, should be like God. You never see God except when there is a crisis. Now, अभी जो हुआ है since the 80s, starting from the US, central bank सब बोलते रहते हैं, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे, ये होने वाला. अरे बाबू, who does that help? It helps someone who has got money, who can use this information in the market. My wife has a brother in Switzerland, very wealthy man. And years ago when Bernanke was the Federal Reserve, and the quantitative easing said he would say that interest rates are not going up, right? So what my brother-in-law did, he would borrow for 3 months at very low interest rates. Normally, a businessman borrows, short term or based on his business. So he made crores. So when the central bank keeps talking and talking and talking and talking, who is he helping? He's helping rich people. मेरे ख्याल में, I would say, capitalism has failed.
Has
failed. देखो, again, theoretically, I'm not an economist, but theoretically, what is capitalism? Capitalism is that, there is a balance between capital and labor. When this gets too much, it goes the other way. But abhi salon se labor is gone. I mean, you look at the inequality in the world. See, we are talking here, probably people listening to your thing are also reasonably privileged. And we are doing well. We are all very happy. But go to Bihar, yaar. What is happening there? And I'm saying, so the system, and why in India? All over the world, it's like that, So I feel capitalism has failed. And this, one time I was invited to some internal meeting at RBI recently, where I told them that capitalism has failed and the regulators are actually helping this. By, for example, the example I gave, where they talk about transparency. But if you are transparency is a good thing. But if the only people who can use it are the people who already have money, who have money in the market, they know interest rates are not going to go down or whatever, you're actually making the situation worse, in my view. So, that's my view. I'm sort of, in a way, I am benefiting from the system, right, as we are all. But so I don't know where it goes. And the way the markets are right now, the equity markets, the asar on rupee, it's crazy.
जमाल भाई, करेंसी जो है, जैसे आपने राइटली कहा, एक समय था जब बहुत ही प्रिविलेज्ड फ्यू लोगों के लिए इसका महत्व होता था. बहुत कम भारतवासी ट्रैवल के लिए विदेश जाते थे. तब जब जाके फॉरेक्स लेने जाते थे तो समझ आता था कि क्या भाव है, राइट. बहुत कम भारतवासी विदेश जाते थे. या आप जब आईआईटी बॉम्बे से निकले 72 में, तब तो खैर स्कॉलरशिप्स पे ही चले जाते थे लोग, या नौकरी मिल जाती थी उस ईरा में. अब थोड़ा जमाना बदल गया. बच्चे एजुकेशन लोन लेके विदेश जा रहे हैं पढ़ाई के लिए, तो पहली बार करेंसी एक्सचेंज उनको समझ आती है. भारतवासी ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं विदेश ज्यादा, तो तब उन्हें करेंसी समझ आती है. और अब क्योंकि लोगों का इंटरेस्ट बिजनेस में ज्यादा बढ़ गया है, तो वो करेंसी से थोड़े इंटरेस्टेड हो गए. तो ये आप बताइए कि करेंसी का, जैसे आप इक्विटी लीजिए, अभी एफआईआईज ने इतनी सेलिंग कर दी, और हर इक्विटी मार्केट एक्सपर्ट से पूछते हैं तो वो कहते हैं कि एक कारण ये भी है कि रुपी गिर गया. तो उनके लिए ये था कि चलिए अभी निकाल लेते हैं. तो ये अगर आप थोड़ा सिंपल तरीके से समझा पाए कि किन लोगों को इस तरह का फॉल अफेक्ट करता है, और किन लोग, पहले जैसे होता था अगर रूपी गिर गया तो आईटी सेक्टर को बहुत बेनिफिट होगा, सिंपल तरीके से। अब हर भारतवासी को कहीं ना कहीं अफेक्ट होता है।
सी मेरे ख्याल से the rupee weakness is actually bad for the country. Okay, and but that doesn't, I may say that, but the market is the market. The market is pushing it down. Okay, today it turned up, right? Your baat hai, see, okay, let me tell you another very beautiful story. This is my daughter's driver. Name is Aladdin. He's from UP. He is illiterate and uneducated. He moved to Bombay when he was 8 years old. And here in Nariman Point, he was working on the road. Slowly, he's built it. He got a license. He sort of cheated and got the license, but he became a driver. Now he's, I would say lower middle class, doing well. He's married. He has 2 kids who are in college. And he was, to me, he is what, they talk about the American dream. I think this is the Indian dream. Okay, an illiterate, uneducated boy could come to this point. He's now living a good life. And he would, in between, he was telling me, and recently again, he said, because I asked him, so, okay, what is your next step? Correct? He was saying, it's become so expensive to live that I really can't, I can't dream anymore. Now, to my mind, why is it so expensive? Because he's got to buy oil. He's got, basically the rupee weakness is really affecting the poor people the most. Now, see, I always say...
इसके कुछ और examples बताइए. Oil जैसे आपने कहा.
But edible oils, cooking oil, tail, gas, but that is only now. But this was about overall, 2 years ago.
Yeah,
he was saying it's so difficult to live, See, okay, another very, very funny story. I got too many stories. This happened when I had just come back from America, right, in 85. I was single. I was in a bar in Bandra, great bar, Cas bar, and I was having a drink. And these 2 extraordinarily beautiful black women came in, African women. I was single. So I got up and I went and sat down at their table and said, I said, are you girls from Switzerland? And sat down at the table. I swear to you, this is true. The first thing this very beautiful girl said to me was, interest rates in India have been kept artificially low for too long. I said, yeah, I'm trying to chase this girl. And turns out they were students from Africa somewhere. They had just come out of an exam. I said, okay, But it was true in the early days of development, interest rates were kept low to help industry. But see, if interest rates are artificially low, what does it mean? Inflation is artificially high. Who does inflation affect? Everybody. But who does it affect more? The poor people. Now, if you have got your biggest, if you have your biggest team, this was in 85, millions of poor people. So the pressure, indirectly, the pressure remains on them. So I'm saying the government and RBI as their instrument needs to constantly be working at ways to make sure that they are working on it, that inflation is low, but it needs to be sort of the defining goal, right? It is technically the defining goal, but it is not done in this way. So right now, what's happening with the rupee, things are getting more and more expensive. And if you look at it, both RER, I saw just 2 days ago, is 92, right? Which is the real effective exchange rate. Means it is 8% weaker than what should be, quote, whatever is normal. Around 10%. That means instead of 95, it should be 85, right? But it is not, right? And just because the numbers, you have any international visitors, India is so cheap. My sister-in-law was visiting one time, 2-3 months ago, and we had some prawns for dinner. I told her, how much the prawns cost? £5. Now in England, £5, you can't buy anything. So the rate it needs to be, it is unbalanced, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will return. See, because what causes the market to move? Market to move is buying and selling, right? So right now, I mean, there has been for some years now, 2-3 years now, lots of portfolio investors have been leaving. Why? See, मेरे ख्याल से again, it comes ultimately the prize or the blame goes to the government and to the head of the government. You know, जो बात है is India is so expensive to run a business in. That is the problem. We are not a low-cost economy. We have low salaries, which is why IT walas now can do that arbitrage. But it is not a low-cost economy. Now, I don't know. I don't know that much, you know. But जो बात है, for example, I read again about 2 months ago or 6-8 months ago that India sells diesel and petrol to Bhutan at a cheaper price than I can buy it. Why? Because there are taxes here. Right? Now, I'm saying what is the other problem is 12%, I think, of corporate costs is transportation. So I'm saying the government is taking the money to keep their deficit down, to keep the inflation down. But the truth is the government is burning our money. You know, and when the oil prices started going up, they started cutting the excise and diesel duty. But I'm saying it has to be not in a crisis, it has to be all the time. So, I mean, you know, it's easy to sit here and talk, right? To run a country or a company is not easy. So it's, and again, what we have, you know, the power of India is the Aladdins. You know, it is the really disadvantaged people who are working. And that is why we are where we are, you know. People it's very clever what they're doing about this SIP, which is why the market is really doing well, etc., etc. But the rupee, कहाँ जाने वाला है सर? I don't.
नहीं, वो तो खैर मतलब किसी को भी नहीं मालूम, लेकिन जमाल भाई ये जो आपने समझाया उससे देखिए, जहाँ तक सिंपल तरीके से अगर समझाएं तो डॉलर आने चाहिए देश में। जैसे आपने कहा टूरिज्म में हम उतना कुछ ज्यादा तो नहीं कर पाए नंबर टर्म्स में, टूरिज्म है ना, जो पोटेंशियल हमारा है, हमसे कई छोटे देश कहीं ज्यादा कर पाते हैं, डॉलर आ जाते हैं। गोल्ड की हमारी खरीदारी कोई ऐसी कम नहीं हो रही। वो तो हम देश हैं, हम सोना लेते ही रहेंगे और उसके लिए हम डॉलर चुकाते रहेंगे। तेल तो जरूरी है, गैस जरूरी है हमारे लिए, उसमें तो चॉइस ही नहीं है हमारे पास। एनआरआई का जो पैसा आता है, रेमिटेंसेस, वो बहुत एक भारी चंक है। तो अब इस वक्त आपके मुताबिक, क्योंकि आप इतने लोगों को एडवाइस करते हैं, HNIs को, कंपनीज को, एनआरआईज इस वक्त क्या सोच रहे हैं? कुछ तो पैसे वो भेजते हैं घर पे वापस अपने घर को चलाने के लिए।
Last year was the highest ever, 100 or highest in the world. There also, you know, I don't know whether this Gulf War will have an asar, no? Because people will be more difficult for them. But I'm saying, see, people from outside sending money is not, it is like, it means you are still a poor man. Right? हम बहुत बात करते हैं third largest, fourth largest economy.
$130 billion.
Look at the GDP per capita. You know, I tell you, I have, as you can tell, I have all sorts of what may be radical ideas. In 1991, India and China had the same GDP per capita. Today, they are 5 times ours. So, you know, one day I was sitting at home thinking, Salah, why don't we outsource our government to Chinese Communist Party? No, suno baat. So then I went to ChatGPT and I asked them that. I didn't say, I said, you know, what if India and China were to become one country? They said, no, it's not. But they went into it and they said, you know, actually, there's lots of synergies. So he said, so what they came back and said, suppose India and China were to have a strategic, proper strategic tie-up, it would be fantastic. Because see, they have got right now shortage of people. We have got millions of people without jobs. They have infrastructure. I mean, they will like build it like gangbusters. So what would happen if somehow, I mean, it's beginning, बात तो शुरू होती है, you know, but it's still very, हम ऐसा scared. अरे यार साला, you have a neighbor, you have to understand, he's stronger than you, but he would be happy theoretically because उनके लिए is, can you imagine if India and China were going out to the world separately, of course, but together, the world would have to bow down. And we could get, they would get a lot more. Theirs would be a long-term gain. Ours would be an immediate gain. So then I read that, you know, the government is talking in terms of opening up investment. Kitna investment aanga? They will all come, you know. So we need to see, this is true everywhere in the world, but we are only talking about India. We have to get over this pride here. You know, देखो काम करना है यार, देश बढ़ाना है, you know, धंधा करना है, right? In a way, you have to look at all of the issues. It's not only take the money and run, like the way it is today. The rich are getting richer and richer and richer and richer, which is a short-sighted thing. Because my Aladdin and all his brothers and sisters, if they could move faster, we would grow faster. And we would grow for longer, meaning in a sustained way. So, again, like I said, talk is cheap.
ये जो अभी हाल में जो क्राइसिस की आपने मेंशन भी की, जो ये सब हो रहा है दुनिया में, और ये टैरिफ वॉर से शुरू हुआ, आप क्योंकि कई खासकर कॉरपोरेट्स जिनका कोई ग्लोबल एक्सपोजर है, वो सब आपके पास ही आते हैं कंसल्टेंसी के लिए, कितनी दिक्कत है आज बिजनेसेस के लिए जो एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं?
You know, it's actually, frankly, it seems less than I would have expected. People seem to be doing quite okay. In fact, I don't know if you saw, you must have seen yesterday, Mahindra & Mahindra. What fantastic results. You know, they're good, one of the best companies in India. But they're continuing to just really click, you know. But again, now the whole thing is, Hawa is AI, right? AI is going to change the world, which it will, there's no question. So, see, I feel that we need, and this is not only, in many ways, this is the problem with democracy. Okay, their whole focus is always, whoever it is, elections. Dhande par nahi, how do I keep winning? Whether it's the BJP or even early 50 years ago, same story. You know, there was a smaller kahani, abhi so it's become full on. That is my job. You know, so if you, I mean, it's not easy to run a business. It's not easy to run a country. You have to be fully focused on it. And which is why you look at Singapore, you look at China. And Singapore is chota hai. You look at China. I mean, people say, "Arey yaar, but they have no rights." Correct. What rights does a small, poor farmer in Bihar have? Technically, these days, I mean, SI, whatever, voting ka bhi nahi, but voting is not that important, you know. You need to be able to live your life. So I think there needs to be, and I don't know whether it will come, there needs to be a real fundamental rethink of how we run the country.
और कई बार हम जब क्राइसिस आती है तभी जागते हैं. 91 में भी क्राइसिस आई, तभी हमने रिफॉर्म्स किए. तो आप कह रहे हैं कि हम एक क्राइसिस की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं.
Correct. We need to actually, and they say now crisis is a terrible thing to waste. So we should do that. We should really look at, but I'm not seeing that, you know. I'm not seeing any, there is only, hey, great, we just won Bengal. Right?
जमाल भाई, आपके कॉलम्स पढ़ने मैंने बंद नहीं किए.
Oh, good.
शहर बदल दिया, लेकिन अभी भी पढ़ता हूँ. तो कुछ कॉलम्स
आपका पेपर में है ना,
आपके रिसेंट,
आपका पुराना पेपर में आता है.
चलिए, आपको याद है, कमाल है. आपने जब ये आरबीआई ने कुछ मेजर्स लिए स्पेकुलेशन कर्ब करने के लिए, तो आपने बहुत एक स्ट्रॉन्ग कॉलम लिखा कि मतलब कांग्रेचुलेट किया आपने आरबीआई को, और ये भी कहा कि कई ऐसे एक्सपोर्टर्स थे जो राइडिंग द ग्रेवी ट्रेन कर रहे थे, जिसे अगर मैं हिंदी में बोलूं तो बहती गंगा में हाथ. और उस स्पेकुलेशन से काफी कर्ब्स से काफी इमीडिएट रिजल्ट भी आया, जो फॉरवर्ड पोजीशंस ले रखी थी बैंक्स और इन सब ने। इस पर अगर आप सिंपल तरीके से समझा पाए कि एग्जैक्टली और क्या कर सकते हैं।
Actually, I'm writing a piece right now. Okay, yeah, again, it comes back to this is for the large players. Actually, it is for the banks. The curbs were on the banks.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल वही कह।
But abhi what RBI did in 2024, I think, they stopped the currency futures market. Abhi currency futures is really for the small guy, right? I mean, it's for everybody, but it, as you say, abhi all Indians are going, all Indians have a little speculation ka taste hai, but all people are not thinking about the dollar. So they satta karna hai jo kuch. But they closed it, right? Why? They closed it, I think, because at that time, in 2022, the volatility was very high, and that governor, he just said, "Nahi yaar, band karo." He closed it, But that is not real. Now, that is not a market. New governor came in, he opened up the volatility in the, but the currency futures remains the same. Now, see, RBI, there is a man who just retired as deputy governor, Ravi Shankar. Wonderful man. I know a lot of people at RBI. He's one of the
कितनी committees पे शुरू से ही बैठे थे।
But I know a lot, but he's one of the best people I've met there. And he told me his story many years ago. He says, I was staying in Boston at the airport and I saw a currency exchange. And he saw the spread, buy, sell, ka farak, both tha. He said, this is the biggest market in the world. Why is it so high? He came back and he started working within RBI and he created a technology platform called FX Retail for small companies. Because his idea was, why? See, Reliance doesn't pay, they pay quarter paisa, right? A small company will pay 1 rupee. If you are buying and selling the dollar is 95, your exporter, Reliance will get 94.90. But a small guy will get 94, So, I mean, it becomes again, same story, harder for him to grow, right? So, they did this. It's a very, very good move. But the use of FX retail is very thin. Why? Because the banks have to sell it to the clients and banks don't want to do that.
Kyun?
So, because they make less money. In fact, so the governor, recent governor, Malhotra, has actually said, we should really increase the... So I'm saying that we should open the currency futures market. We should really find a way to get FX retail to grow up. So now, none of this is about where is the rupee going to go. Again, like I said, I don't know. No, I'm talking about processes, and how the focus should really be on helping your biggest player here. We have got, 500 million people who are just starting to see the world. So, unke liye kuch karna chahiye. Of course, it's dangerous. If you speculate in markets, you can lose. But I must have that option. Correct? You start like, mat karo. You can do it, but you can't do it. Kyun? Freedom ki baat hai na.
डोनाल्ड ट्रंप पे आपकी क्या राय है? समझ पाए आप कि क्या है?
Sir, he's a terrible man, but you have to say, it's hard to believe. I think he is the most consequential US president. Kitna badla? I think he's really, the world is more different in the last 2 years than in any 2 years.
But not for the better, you're saying?
Not for the better, I don't think. See, all relationships are changing. Europe is going to be, how can you trust America, etc., with anything? So it's, what can anyone say? Whatever you say, kuch bhi karega, and he's able to do it. That is the amazing thing. We dekh lenge November elections mein kuch.
एक ट्रेंड जो देखा था जमाल भाई, वो ये था कि कई सेंट्रल बैंक्स ने गोल्ड खरीदना शुरू किया। ये खासकर रशिया, यूक्रेन।
राइट।
ये ट्रेंड आप समझते हैं कि अब लगभग खत्म हो गया, जितना लेना था उन्होंने ले लिया, कि ये चलता रहेगा? de-dollarization जो है, कि कोई युआन जैसे है, चाइना के बारे में आपने काफी बात की, कि जैसे वो भी चाहते हैं कि भाई हम, और कई डील्स ऐसी हो भी रही हैं देशों के बीच में युआन लिंक्ड करेंसी में
हो रहा है।
और गोल्ड हो गया, जैसे कई सेंट्रल बैंक्स ने कहा कि भाई हम ये रिस्क क्यों रन करें कि आप कल जाके खड़े होके हमारा ये बंद कर दें हमारे पैसे, तो हम गोल्ड ही रख लेते हैं। तो डी डॉलराइजेशन पे आपकी क्या
यू नो जो बात है, क्लियरली एवरीवन इज सेइंग बाबा लेट मी रिड्यूस माय एक्सपोजर टू द डॉलर, वो तो होता है, बट इट्स स्टिल वेरी बिग, you know. And जो बात है, it is not, ultimately it is not about just exposure, it is about market. See, dollar, जो dollar market है, dollar investment market है, not dollar rupee, but you know, US Treasury.
Yes.
Anybody, anywhere in the world who has money, where will he put it? Dollar में ही. Now, I mean, the euro, when euro came out in 1999, there was talk that they will build it up, but then they had their own problems, you know. So it will diversify, but it will take a long, long time. China, I keep coming back, you know. I read something, in fact, this article I'm writing, see, India has also been talking for a long time of internationalizing the rupee, right? With some trade partners, thoda ho raha hai. वो UPI is now in a few countries, छोटा
गिफ्ट सिटी जैसे
गिफ्ट सिटी है, you know, there are all these efforts being made to internationalize it. Our currency is not convertible, but China is also not convertible. But I just read about 2-3 weeks ago that a lot of American banks are investing in renminbi bonds in Hong Kong. And China is encouraging it. They are encouraging local companies to put deposits there so there is liquidity. Why? Because China also wants to internationalize. And interest rates are very, very low over there. Now, of course, their whole financial game is different.
Very different.
You know?
And not so transparent also.
Right. So it's a tricky game, but it's, you know, they're doing a great job, is what it seems like, you know. I'm sure there's downsides, you know, I'm only looking at the bright side. But let's see.
आपने एक किताब भी लिख दी लाइफ के बारे में
जी,
लाइफ के बारे में
it is the most wonderful book ever written. I should have brought a copy. It's called Love, Joy and Silliness. And it's about a pig.
अच्छा.
A very grand pig from Goa who goes around the world falling in love. I won't say anymore.
नहीं, वो ठीक है. मैं तो यही चाहता हूं कि लोग आपकी किताब पढ़ें. कुछ ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल है, ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल है.
Right. What
क्योंकि
comes out,
आपकी जिंदगी जो है इतनी कलरफुल है.
like my shirt.
बिल्कुल. और मुझे बहुत खुशी है जमाल भाई कि आप बिल्कुल नहीं बदले.
बिल्कुल
नहीं बदले.
Sir, I am very lucky. See, I'll tell
लकी तो मुझे नहीं मालूम, लेकिन मैं जब से आपको जानता हूं ना आपकी शर्ट बदली, ना आपकी स्माइल बदली, ना आपका जो लाइफ को एक डिस्पाइट बीइंग जो आपने वो एग्जांपल दिया, वो शायद 40 साल पहले स्ट्रेस लिया होगा आपने सोचने के लिए, पर उसके बाद मेरे ख्याल से मैंने तो आपको कभी स्ट्रेस देखा ही नहीं. और ट्रेडिंग, खासकर ऐसे करेंसी में जब आप इतने बिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स कर रहे हैं तो बॉयलर रूम ही होता है. तो कहीं लोग,
I don't trade billions of dollars. I don't trade. See, I think, you know, again, this is to my mind one of the great strengths of India. See, which is that I believe, you know, the only reason I believe in God completely. Now, if you believe in God, correct? Now, everyone says that God is this, no one knows. But bolte hain God is this wonderful creature, loves everybody, all loving, all ye wo. So, mera khayal hai, if such a wonderful creature has put me here, why? He's put me here to be happy. So, I believe, and my job is to be happy. Sabka job is to be happy. And I'm the head of the union.
And what is the way to do that?
The easiest way to be happy is to smile. It's not hard. Just bheja jara kam vapro yaar. My Sri Vindalu, who is the hero of my book, has a line which says, the brain is like a toothbrush. People say, iska matlab kya hai? Say, toothbrush is a tool. Brain is a tool. You have to use your brain. I use my brain in my office, or many things. But you can't use it to live your life. You can't use it for love. बस I enjoy.
और क्योंकि आजकल बहुत यंग लोग भी आपको देख रहे हैं जिन्होंने शायद उतना आपका करियर नहीं ट्रैक किया होगा जिस तरह से मेरी जनरेशन ने किया, कहीं और भी करेंसी के आगे आपके बहुत शौक हैं। आर्ट हो गया।
Yes. Well, my wife has an art gallery, which is very nice.
और जब आप बात करते हैं, बहुत अच्छी तरह से आपने समझाया, क्योंकि आज देखिए मेंटल हेल्थ के इतने इश्यूज बढ़ रहे हैं लोगों के यंग एज में। कहीं ना कहीं हम अपने आप को इतने सीरियसली ले रहे हैं, रेज हो गया है। रोज पेपर खोलिए, पार्किंग के ऊपर लोग लड़ रहे हैं, हाथापाई कर रहे हैं, मार रहे हैं एक दूसरे को। तो ये तो कोई तरीका नहीं है जीने का।
It's terrible, which is why, like I said, the book is Love, Joy and Silliness. I lived in New York for a long time. I love New York. लेकिन न्यूयॉर्क में लोग are too serious. See, seriousness, I'm not interested personally. मुझे जरा मस्ती करना है. Because why? Because I believe that is my job. I'll give you and your viewers one other very good tip. One of the things I do, if I'm living my life, I run into somebody in a wheelchair. I always stop and say, have you come to dance? And every one of them, except one was, I don't know why, upset. It made them so happy. So a small thing, it just changes everything. It changes the mood. You got to keep that in mind. मस्ती करो बाबू। एक और चीज, काला काला मत पहनो।
ये मैं चाहता जमाल भाई, तो मैं आप जैसी शर्ट
पहन लो।
लेकिन मेरे जो बॉसेस हैं उन्होंने मना कर।
अरे उनसे भी मैं उनसे बात करूंगा।
पर मुझे याद है जमाल भाई कि जब मैं बॉम्बे आया था तो पेज 3 जिसे कहते थे वो खोलता था और रोज आपकी तस्वीर उसमें होती थी।
करेक्ट।
पार्टी एनिमल थे आप।
I love to dance.
अभी भी?
Of course. At my 75th birthday. Why then?
बहुत बधाई हो आपको। 75 मतलब
मस्ती तो कर। That's the point. मस्ती करते रहो, you will remain forever.
Very nice. मैं भगवान से दुआ करता हूँ कि आपको बहुत लंबी उम्र दें।
Thank you, sir.
और खुशियां दें, और जिस तरह से आप बांटते रहते हैं खुशियां, वो आप बांटते रहें।
That's the key.
आपका मेरे पे एक बहुत बड़ा उपकार है कि आपने मुझे बहुत कुछ सिखाया। इसलिए ये इंटरव्यू मेरे लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट इंटरव्यू था, क्योंकि आप आए यहाँ, आपने इस शो को ग्रेस किया अपनी प्रेजेंस से। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू। गुड लक।